Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something really interesting:
Yeah, what's that?
how AI models recognize objects, or maybe, more accurately, how they sometimes get it wrong.
Ah, right. The stumbles.
Ah!
Fascinating
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. We've got this text that gives some really concrete examples, not just theory.
Good. Real world cases are always more revealing. It shows where these systems actually uh, hit their limits.
So, our mission basically is to figure out why AI vision isn't always, well, perfect, to uncover some surprising weaknesses.
Okay, I'm in. Where do we
Yeah.
start? The text mentions specific error types, right?
It does. The first one is called local versus global generalization failure. Sounds a bit technical.
It just means how the AI decides internally. It needs like agreement among its parts and it needs to be short.
Okay, unpack that a bit. How does it work in practice?
Well, think about recognizing, say, an analog clock on a table.
Okay.
The AI might have multiple internal detectors looking at features. For it to say clock, it usually needs a certain number of those detectors to agree.
A majority, maybe?
Often, yeah. And high confidence, too. The text has this great example.
Lay it on us.
So Model A looks at this clock. It has 9 detectors.
Yeah.
5 say clock.
Okay, sounds like it's getting there.
But wait, 2 detectors say mirror and 2 say window.
Ah, some mixed signals.
Exactly. And the system needed, let's say, 6 out of 9 for a simple majority. 5 wasn't enough.
So even though clock was the most common answer,
It resulted in undefined label. The AI just couldn't make the call because of its strict internal rule.
wow. Okay, so that's one way it fails. What if the agreement is stronger?
Good question. Model B looked at the same clock. This time, 8 out of 9 detectors said clock.
8 out of 9, that's pretty clear agreement.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But here's the catch. The overall confidence was only 77.1%.
And the system needed more.
Yeah, it had a threshold set at, say, 90% confidence for a definite ID.
So even with almost everyone agreeing,
Still not enough certainty for the AI. It outputted undefined label expert review. Basically, I'm leaning clock, but I'm not sure enough.
that's kind of wild. So these internal rules, the thresholds for agreement and confidence, they can really get in the way, even when the answer seems obvious to us.
Precisely. It's not just about seeing, it's about meeting these specific, sometimes very rigid criteria.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the second error type?
This one's called learned versus tested patterns failure. It's about how AI handles things it wasn't trained on.
Like the polar bear example, where they
Yeah,
got mistaken for cats.
exactly that. They show these models 30 pictures of polar bears. Neither model had ever been trained on polar bears.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, Model A ended up calling 6.7% of them cat, and most others undefined.
Cat, really?
Yeah. And Model B was similar, 6.7% cat, but also, strangely, 10% horse.
Horse, where does that come from?
It's likely latching on to visual similarities.
Hmm.
White color, maybe some general quadruped shape. It sees something new and tries to fit it into a box it already knows.
So it sees white fur, maybe a certain posture, and thinks closest match is cat or even horse.
That seems to be the idea. And here's the really counterintuitive part that text points out.
Go on.
As these models learn more labels, they get better at recognizing those things they were trained on, obviously.
Makes sense.
But they can actually become more likely to misclassify something completely new as one of the things they do know.
Wait, so learning more makes them worse at identifying novelty.
In a way, yes. Their existing knowledge, their learned patterns, can kind of overshadow the ability to say, hey, this is something genuinely different I've never seen before. They force a fit.
That's a really important limitation to understand.
Definitely.
So let's quickly recap. AI recognition isn't just like human sight. It's got these internal rules, thresholds for agreement and confidence that can cause it to fail on seemingly obvious things.
Right. The clock example showed that clearly.
And then there's this issue where its existing training, its learned patterns, can actually make it misidentify completely new objects based on just superficial similarities.
Like the polar bears becoming cats. It highlights this tension between recognizing known patterns and dealing with true novelty.
So for you, listening, understanding these things gives a much more, well, realistic picture of AI. It's not magic.
Not at all. It's a complex system with specific strengths, but also very specific, sometimes surprising weaknesses based on its design and training.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it, about real-world uses.
Oh, absolutely.
What happens if a self-driving car's AI misidentifies a new kind of road debris because it looks vaguely like something else it knows?
Or a medical AI flags something harmless because it shares a feature with a known disease marker it was trained on.
Mhm.
The stakes can be high.
It really drives home the difference between pattern matching, even sophisticated pattern matching, and genuine understanding. Definitely some food for thought there.
Indeed. A crucial distinction to keep in mind.
Well, thanks for digging into this with us today. Really fascinating examples.